It's a quarantine. Get a puppy, they said. Get a dog. It's a quarantine. Wait, guys, hold up. It's okay. Good girl. Okay, stop licking me. Not so rough. Ah, my femur. Please stop.
Welcome back to Creatures, Cowards, and Crafting. Today, guys, we're going to make some post-apocalyptic shacks, or shanties as you will. And to do that, we're going to use some simple materials. I know some of you are still stuck in quarantine. I'll try to give you some options if you're unable to still get out. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this project. First, I need to make a base, and to do this, I'm just using some foam core, and I'm just going to cut that out and bevel the edges. Now, you can use cardboard or any other base that you like. Next, I'm going to use some chipboard. I get this from kitty litter boxes. If you've seen my other videos, you can check that out. Now, I'm going to take some hot glue, run a bead, and just start putting this together. Now, I've cut this out roughly about 2 1/4 to 2.5 inches. And we're just going to give this 4 sides. And here's what it should look like once we put it together. Notice I used a lot of hot glue securing the edges on this. And you want to be kind of careful on the foam core. Again, you don't want to burn it. Here's another one that I built. These are very simple. I added a window for this. I just took some screen mesh and put it behind it. I want to note that the doorway on these are about 2 inches tall and about an inch, maybe 1.25 inches wide. These are very stable. Go ahead and give these a coat of Mod Podge just to strengthen the chipboard and also protect that foam core. I wanted to build these shacks with removable roofs so I could use them in possible skirmish games. So to do this, I used the cardstock as I used before, and I just trimmed off 4 points. Now I used E6000 for this. E6000 is very sticky, and that allows me to kind of maneuver the point so I get a good snug fit. Once they're together, you should be able to kind of shake it, and it looks pretty good. To flank the base, I'm simply going to apply some wood glue and go over it with a fine turf. If you don't have this, you could use maybe some playground sand. And now I'm going to go over to a coarse turf. Here I'm using some kitty litter. You could use some oil dry. We're just going to sprinkle that on. And we're going to continue to do this until the entire base is covered. Next, we're going to take a mixture of wood glue and water, and we're just going to spray this all over the base, get it good and saturated, and we're going to let that sit overnight. Alright guys, here's where we can be creative and have a lot of fun with the project. I have some corrugated paper. You can get this at the craft store, but if you don't have this, you can get this off like maybe a pizza box or something. We want to go for close corrugation. The wider stuff doesn't look as good, but you can use it if you're in a pinch. Now what I'm going to do is start cutting the paper into small manageable pieces. Here I have the building, and I've already black bombed this. And what we're going to do, I'll show you the other one real quick, is we're going to start using some E6000 and start placing these pieces all over the building. Remember, these shacks are in a post-apocalyptic setting, a poor village, a wasteland, so if you don't have corrugated paper, mix it up. Maybe use some craft sticks, granny grating, you could even use some old sprue. You really can't go wrong with this type of craft. And guys, this is a work in progress picture. I just wanted you to get an idea of how I'm arranging things. Also, I wanted to point out I'm using some bits and pieces. I think these came from TT Combat. You could use anything from a model leftover. For the base, I'm going to apply a wet coat of burnt umber. Allow that to dry, and then I'm just going to start doing some dry brushing. Here I'm using a bark brown, a butter pecan, and then going over it lightly with a light gray. For the roof, I'm going to use some sewing pins. And what I'm going to do here is just drive them through the roof, the corrugated paper. I'm going to snip them off, and then I'm just going to use a little E6000 to fasten them in place. Now this is completely optional. I want to show you kind of what I mean here. On the corner you can see one, and I'm just going to snip that off. If you don't have this, you don't have to use it. You can use beads or something else. I decided that the roof needed more character, so I wanted to create a tarp. And to do this, I used a piece of napkin soaked in glue. I allowed this to dry overnight. And once it was dry, I applied blue all over the top, allowed the paint to dry, and then put a plastic wheel that I got from a toy set and also a sandbag. Instead of making doors, I decided to stick with tarps. And to make this work, what I did is just took a paper clip, and let me just remove the tarp here for you. As you can see, I took a little E6000 and glued that in place. And now you can just take the tarp and just slide it in there. Let me show you from the front. It doesn't show up, you don't see it. And from above, it doesn't really interfere with anything. Okay guys, at this point, the project is table ready. If you have a game or skirmish or something that you want to do, you don't have to do the next steps. I'm going to weather this and make it look a little bit more aged. But like I said, these are perfect to go at this point. Alright guys, if you decide to weather the project, what I like to do is start with a burnt sienna. And what I'm going to do is just take a fairly stiff brush and start dabbing that on. You can work this up into a nice rust effect. We're also going to add a sepia wash. That's just going to add like a little grime to it. And then you guys know I love to use pigments. I'm going to use a natural umber and a natural sienna. I'm going to mix those together with a matte varnish and start applying that onto the corrugated metal. I'm also going to take this in loose form and just start spreading it over the base. Once we get where we want it, we're just going to kind of mush it in with the brush like so. And then we can also apply this to the shed itself. I really like the look when you do this. It comes out looking very dusty, very rustic. And what you can also do to seal this in is just lightly spray it with some Tetra Dull Coat. And guys, when I say lightly, mist it. You don't want to get this saturated. If you do saturate it, you will lose that nice dust effect. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. Let's go take a look at it on the table. Alright guys, here's our final project. I had a blast putting this together. These were very simple to do, very little materials needed. You could make these in an afternoon, maybe crank out a whole village. Really love the look of these when they're weathered. If you don't have the time or materials to do the weathering, don't worry about that. Just crank them out, put them on the table, you'll have fun with them. I did make these small and I did make them accessible on the inside. Originally I thought about doing these as just kind of like scatter terrain or line of sight blocking, but I wanted to add a little bit depth of realism to them so you could kind of put guys inside of them. Try it. If you don't want to do it, you could always glue the roofs together. Anyways, as always, I'll leave you guys with a nice video for the end. Guys, that's a wrap for this week. If you liked the video, give me a big thumbs up, subscribe, follow. More importantly, share this with someone that might like this type of craft. We're going to return in 2 weeks. I've got a new camera. We're going to give you guys better footage, better pictures of those crafts and minis that you deserve. As always, I hope you and your family stay safe during this time. We'll catch you on the flip side.